by stride is coming at him. Muera grabbed by Ronaldo, the Wizard, and he's won. The Wizard's done it again. Ronaldo, the Wizard, has beaten the great guns. Erdogel in front of Caspian Prince. The Happy Prince battling back on the inside. Erdogel's back. Erdogel first, the Happy Prince second.
Hello everyone and welcome back to week 5 of the UAE Racing Podcast. I am here with the two lovable rogues, Gary Capewell and Callum Madej. If you'd like to say hello.
Hello. Hello.
They sound so infused that we're going to decipher each 7 of these races for you tonight. We've got race 1, a thoroughbred handicap, over 9.5 furlongs on the dirt. There looks to be a tough race here, would you say, Gary? Ormindo's won, 2 in a row now? Do you think he has a good chance?
You're rising in the race in pretty good form, doesn't he? That has to be said. Obviously, he's won his last 2, winning at Jebel Ali, and he won here over 11 furlongs last time out. It's off a £4 higher mark, which obviously it takes him to a career high mark at the age of 7, which is never a good thing as far as I'm concerned, but at least he is in good form. The Avernus won a pretty woeful maiden here earlier on in the month. Won very easily, in fairness. Just gone off. Boy, he actually gets to run off the set. I know it was a maiden, but the handicapper decided to leave him where he was with regards to his mark, which I thought was interesting. Galvanise is certainly bred for the job. The former Sir Michael Stout trained runner. He finished 9th at Chelmsford when he was last seen. Grado Argentine won here around about this sort of time last year, off this mark actually. So he's back down to his last winning mark as well. He was 4th last time out. Brabham, another one who's been in good form. Jebel Ali as well. He won at Jebel Ali last time out, but he rattled off a hat-trick here last year. I thought the most interesting one though was Winslow, who had his first run for over a year when finishing 5th here over 7 furlongs after Christmas and doing all his best work in the closing stages. Okay, he was fairly well beaten, but it was his first run for a while. He's entitled to improve a good bit for their run, and he's just the least exposed out of all of them. Going up into it will definitely help. It was a tentative pick in what is a pretty trappy opener.
Yes, absolutely. I personally think Winslow is bred for this job. Do you agree with Gary's sentiments, Callum?
I certainly agree with your sentiments that he's bred for the job. I mean, that pedigree's unbelievable, isn't it? He's a half-brother to Mohayman, and he's a half-brother to New Year's Day, are both US Grade 1 winners. And the Dam is I think, Grade 2 winner and a half-sister to a US Grade 2 winner as well. So he's very much bred for the job. I thought it was a good first start on the dirt as well over a trip that's way too short for him. I think he'll really appreciate a step up and trip. I'm actually going to go for the other Watson runner, which Gary mentioned, which is Grand Argentier. I'd be a lot more keen on both if the Watson yard were in better form, but Grand Argentier really caught my eye last time. I actually backed him when he won last year. He won really impressively over a mile, made all. He was a little bit slow into stride, but he quickly grabbed the lead, and it was never in doubt from that. And I like the fact that Sam Hitchcock takes the ride, because I do really like him on these sort of horses that take a little bit of coaxing early on, and then he gets them into a real rhythm on the dirt. So yeah, I thought Grand Argentier was potentially really well treated now for the same marker when he won last year, and I might chance him even if the yard aren't in the best of form. I think Atma bin Hamash's both runners are feared. Ormindo definitely has to find a bit more to complete the hat trick. Brabham's definitely got rock solid claims. I think will be favourite. He's won 5 times for Bin Hamash over the last 2 seasons, so he does absolutely nothing wrong, including, like you said, a hat trick here last year. I think Avernus needs to improve off that mark. I didn't think he achieved much from, albeit bolting up in a handicap last time. I think that requires more. It's quite a good little race for a local handicap, but I think Grand Argentier would just be a slight preference for me.
Alrighty, yeah. Pretty tough race, I'm not going to lie, I'd say. It's a good looking one though. I think I'm going to side with Gary and go with Winslow in this race particularly. Brabham possibly one to watch. 2 wins this season at Jebel Ali already, whilst he notched up a handicap hat-trick at last season at Meydan, so obviously one to watch for the inform yard. I think we'll swiftly move on to the second race. It's the EGA Potlines Trophy over a mile. it's we've got 2 Godolphin runners in here, and then we've got 2 4-year-olds in here. But the 2 Godolphin runners, American Hope and Simric. Do you like either of them, Callum?
Oh, it's a disappointing turnout. First of all, I mean, 8 runners for a handicap so worth so much is a pretty poor turnout. Saying that, I think there's a bit of class in the field. Certainly, Fanciful Angel, who was impressive last time over course and distance in a race that worked out arguably ideally for him. He was quite wide throughout, but they went a really strong gallop and he picked them off late on. Even if there's a small field, I do think there's a fair bit of pace, or at least some guaranteed pace in there. I mean, Arcanada, I think, will go forward. There's horses around there that you think will be up with the pace and ensure it's not a crawl. So that will suit him. And if he's in the same form, I don't think a £5 rise will be enough to prevent him to follow up. The 2 Godolphin runners are the definite dangers. Cymric, I expect to be towards the head of the market. A horse that was second in a Group 1 as a 2-year-old in the Lagardère, and didn't quite go on from that last year. He was a bit hit and miss last year. There's a couple of decent efforts in decent company, in listed group company, without really going on from what he promised as a 2-year-old. But it's Appleby first time out since leaving John Gosden, I think, is a nice angle to be on, and I can see him potentially being better than this mark. He's certainly got the ability to be better than a mark of 107, switched to handicaps. And American Hope, who was bitterly disappointing when was triple napped on the first card of the year. I think he can do better. I like the fact the hood's off. I like the jockey booking of Adrian de Vries. He's a perfect jockey for a horse that can be quite keen, and a step up to miles maybe not ideal given his freshness, but he might have just really badly needed that run, taking the freshness out of him, and I'd be surprised if he didn't run a lot better. So I think Fanciful Angel will take a fair bit of beating, but American Hope would definitely interest me. But it's a race I'm going to wait until see what the prices are.
Alrighty, yeah. Is this the first race Himrick's coming back when he's been gelded, or was he running before gelded?
You might be right. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's always an angle to look at. Mawari's interesting here for Mike de Kock. He's backed up 7 days later. He has some pretty good form in South Africa. He won 3, and I mean, it's not overly bad. It was a grade 3 he won, so he's been contesting good races behind Abashiri back in 2016. So obviously one to watch. Another I quite like here is Dark Emerald. Would he be one to go forward, or do you think he'll sit in the middle, Gary?
He'll be prominent, I imagine. I don't think he'll lead. He can lead in his races, but the ideal scenario for Dark Emerald is stalking just in behind the pace, and I think he'll probably slot in behind Cymric and Arcanada, who I think are the 2 that'll probably go forward. American Hope obviously was disappointing. He got badly hampered on the bend, but he got so worked up beforehand as well. And I think, like Callum points out, the hood going off and Adrian de Vries is a very positive jockey booking for him. Obviously, he's drawn Whitehall, but no need to worry about that at all, being ridden by Adrian de Vries. So we tipped Fanciful Angel when he won on the opening night or the second night of the carnival. He's gone up £5 for that win, to a mark of 108, which I think is probably high enough. The Singapore Raiders ran okay a couple of times at the carnival already as well. Flash Fire finished 5th behind Flash Fire, Elite Excalibur did on the first run, and was 4th in the Al Rashidir, albeit I think it was a particularly strong race, but he slowly looks like he's getting the hang of things. But I have to be honest, I can just see Cymric very much getting the run of the race here. Probably he's got the plum draw in stall 1. William Buick will bounce him out, and I just think he'll probably make all. I think he will probably be potentially a good bit better than this mark, as Callum pointed out as well. So off the mark of 107, he's making his handicap debut. I think he could be well treated, so it'll have to be Cymric to make all for me.
Alright, yeah, funnily enough, I'm going to side with Cymric as well. The first time gelding, which we think is what he is. Could possibly be a treat working for him. I mean, he contested in the St James's Palace last season, so that tells you all you need to know about him, really. Fanciful Angel, obviously one to follow here. Hopefully runs well for Marco Botti and Touch Gold Racing. We're going to go on to the third, the Al Shindaga. Muarab, obviously the one to beat here. I think it's probably his to lose now. But Cool Cowboy drops in trip. What do you think of his chances, Gary?
Well, it's better for him going down in trip. He blatantly doesn't stay a mile on the dirt, an out-and-out mile. I know he's won over 7. I think he might have actually even won over a mile, but it was a shocking. I think he won the Group 3, didn't he, on Super Saturday? But it was a woeful contest. It was rubbish. Basically, Ross was second in that, so it just tells you all you need to know about a bit of form. Going down in trip will definitely help him. Obviously, in his younger days in the States, he was 6 or 7 furlong horse, wasn't he? I don't know. I personally think 7's probably his ideal trip, to be perfectly honest. I'm not sure he'd be quick enough for 6. Obviously, he was second in the Derby Stakes last year. But I don't know. I think I can see him running on and probably taking second. But I think it's quite simple that Muara will probably just make all. I mean, he was taken on for the lead, wasn't he, by the Watson horse in the Derby Stakes. And with the smaller field that day, Ronaldo the Wizard didn't get as far back as he often does in his races. He always runs on, but he wasn't that far back. The kickback wasn't as bad, and he was able to get into a better position and pinch it off Muara Blayton. But I just think he's got to be winning this type of race. Really, I don't think there's anything in here to worry about, to be perfectly honest. I mean, he's beaten all the others before, so with the exception of Stunned, who's obviously taking a big step up in grade. But I just think he'll probably try and get out and make all. I think it'd be very, very difficult to beat, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with your sentiments there. I know you like Sheishi, Callum. What do you think of his chances?
Not in this company, unfortunately. I know he's won a Group 3 over this course and distance, but no, I think he's going to be outclassed in. He ran okay last time, but not for me. It's all about Murad. I'd be very, very surprised if he didn't win. I thought he ran a stormer last time, got taken on by Desert Force, and you look where Desert Force finished. It puts Murad's effort into perspective, really. The race was perfectly set up for Ronaldo the Wizard. We know he goes well fresh. He lost absolutely nothing in defeat Murad that day. And yeah, I don't think he gets beat here. Wild Dude was back in third that day. I don't see him improving on that effort. So I think Cool Cowboy is the one to chase him home, basically on Caver's sentiments, really. He's definitely a horse that's been shaping as if a return to shorter will suit. 7 furlongs is definitely his ideal for me, but 6 furlongs will definitely suit more than what Amar has been recently. So he's the one for the forecast, and Morab really should be winning this.
Yeah, I think we're all going to side with Morab in this one. I'm pretty sure he'll be odds on, so one to leave alone there. We'll go on to the Cast House Trophy, the 2-miler. Probably the hardest race on the card I got.
I think I'm calling this race, actually.
You will have to.
I'll find out tomorrow. I'll find out tomorrow, but I think I'm calling this race.
Unlucky.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be too hard, I don't think. Red Galileo won last time for Saeed and Christoph. What do you think of his chances now, Callum?
I'm not doing this race. I wanted to take on Red Galileo. I really do. He's stepping up 2 furlong in trip. I had stamina concerns about him over 2,800 metres last time, but he seemed to see it out okay for all. It was a really muddling race. He got a brilliant ride by Christoph Soubion, who took the bull by the horns down the back straight, gained ground when it was easy to make it up, and it helped at the end of the race, really. But on that form, there's strictly nothing between Carbon Dating and himself, and I think he's got a £2 swing maybe for a neck. Carbon Dating again is another that hasn't run over this trip, but he probably promises to stay it. And even then, it's likely going to be a pretty muddling race again. I think Blue Rambler will go forward and he will appreciate the trip, but he's slow. He's not. I don't think he's the horse for around here, really. I mean, he's more like a Cesarich and a Hurdler type than around here. Curb Your Enthusiasm ran a horrible race in that race as well. He hung on the bend. He never looked like getting involved. And again, he's going to get a similar setup here. So he leaves me with a little bit to prove. I kind of looked at Rio Tigra, but he seemed to lose his action late on in a handicap last time, but he certainly will appreciate the step up in trip. And if he runs to the the form previously when he was third was despite pulling very hard over 12 furlongs, and I think he's got a chance because you'll certainly appreciate the trip. None of them convinced me. I'll tentatively go for carbon dating, but it's really not a race I'm going to get involved in. I don't like the rest of them either. So yeah, the less said about this race, the better, really.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Emirates Entertainment Racing Club, they have 3 in the race. Warrior of Light, Los Barbados and Beach Bar. Warrior of Light done well last time, and but Los Barbados for me was the eye catcher. Did you think any of those 3 had a chance, Gary?
I just didn't like the race either, to be perfectly honest. I mean, the only one who's ever ran over this distance is Curb Your Enthusiasm. Well, Booramber's obviously ran it over hurdles, but I mean, I'm disappointed with Curb Your Enthusiasm last time now. I don't know. It's just a nasty little race, really. I wanted to take on Red Galileo, but I mean, you go through the form, and we should be beating them all again. Rio Tigre, I'll have to go back and watch his last run again, but funny enough, he ran in the race that I called when I was out here last year when he finished 4th, and Avenira 4th behind Battersea over slightly shorter than this. He's yet to win out in the UAE, but he seems to run decent races when going over staying distances. So, I mean, he was 3rd on the opening night of the Carnival, not being too far behind Golden Wood, but he was disappointing last time. Well, that was only over 10 furlongs, wasn't it? Again, it'll be interesting to see who goes on, because I can just see this being run at a dawdle, and it wouldn't surprise me if we got a little bit of a shock. But who it will be, I don't know. I'd probably with there being 9 runners, I'd probably tip up Rio Tigre each way as a bit of a cop out. But it's a nasty little race.
Yeah, it is, and we hope you do commentate on it. So that'll be fun.
I think it'll be that one or race 6. I think.
Ah, okay. That's not much.
Terry is emailing me tomorrow.
Lovely. Personally, I'm going to go for Red Galileo. I think up £3 for his win. It was only a neck last time, but this time I can only see him going forward. Nothing else really, unless Zamam tries making it, but he's never been over this sort of distance before. It'd be interesting to see how he runs. But yeah, it is a tough little race, and for me, I'm going to go for Red Galileo in this one. We'll move swiftly away from that to the Al Maktoum Challenge Round 2, a Group 2 over 9.5 for thoroughbreds. I mean, I've got 3 question marks against a few of these. Long River, Lindo Moore, and Gold City I'm not particularly keen on. Fitzgerald was too bad to be true last time. Do you see him returning to form at all, Gary?
Well, he's got to prove that he stays, doesn't he? I thought it was slightly odd. He seemed to break all right on his most recent outing. Then he got reined back, and he got stuck in all the kickback, and I don't know. I know he's come from the back of the field before, but he seemed to resent it. Whether he'll stay or not is a question mark. I'm not completely convinced, but if he can reproduce that form when he beat Farrier here before Christmas, the time that he did that, it was absolutely superb. So, he's got a good draw towards the inside. Colm O'Donoghue, the jockey, changed now. Antonio Fresso not riding him. Colm O'Donoghue takes over, so that might be a little bit of an angle as well. But again, this was a race that was full of question marks for me. I mean, Le Bernardin obviously won round 1 of the Al Maktoum Challenge for the second time, but he's stuck on the outside. And I think he's probably at his best when he's dominating. I know he's getting a bit older now, but I'm still not completely convinced about him over the trip. I know he's won over 10 furlongs, but it wasn't really this type of grade. Stormbelt won before Christmas the listed race over this, or just a little bit further than this, won that very impressively, but didn't back that up last time out in handicap company, albeit a fair handicap behind Mizbar. Powerblade will definitely be staying on, but this again a bit stronger than the handicap that he ran in on the second night of the Carnival. Long River is not a horse that I particularly trust, I have to admit, but he was a good second, obviously behind Le Bernardin in round 1. Gold City was 3rd, I think, in this race last year. He was, yeah. And well, he was fourth in round one, but going up in trip is definitely a plus for him. But he'd be disappointed if he was to win, really. I think the 8-year-old. Second summer's interesting. First run in the UAE, obviously a Grade 2 winner at Santa Anita back in May, but hasn't been seen since finishing down the field in a Grade 1 there back in June. Likely to come on for the run. Furia Cruzada. I know Callum's quite interested up with this one. Hasn't been seen since finishing third at Saint Cloud back in October, but had some decent dirt form in, I think it was Argentina, before he came over to the UK. Might have been Chile actually, but I'm just going to go with Lindo Amor, who finished third in round one. And never near a third, beating 2 1/4 lengths behind La Bernardine, doing all his best work in the closing stages, shaping as though the step up in trip will suit. Obviously, he was placed in a couple of Grade 1s in his native Argentina. So, in a race that, again, I think has got quite a lot of question marks, I'll just go for Lindo Amor. But again, it wouldn't be a confident pick by any stretch.
They seem relatively tough this week. I know Callum was a big fan of Fitzgerald before. Do you think he'll bounce back at all, or?
Not a clue, Alex, to be honest. It was such a disappointing run. Obviously, he's well aware that I was really keen on him last time, and he was beat about 2 furlongs. After about 2 furlongs, he just didn't travel one bit. No idea why he ran so poorly. Absolutely no idea. I don't think anything came out in the steward's report. Trip is definitely a question mark for considering he was a sprinter when he was trained in America. It's not an obvious. The step on trip is an obvious way of improvement, but maybe going slightly slower might help. I don't know. No idea what to expect with this whole race in general, to be honest. Le Bernardin, again, he's going to be favourite after he won the first round, but I'd be very easily taking him on over this trip. I know you look at his form and you see he has won over this sort of trip, over further in fact, but he's a miler for me. This looks a bit of an afterthought as well. I think they've seen that it's going to be potentially weak race and there's a chance they're on basically. And he's also a horse that needs quite a lot of space between his races for me as well. And again, it just looks like he's that early season sort of type. When you get later on at the carnival, he just kind of bottoms out. So a lot of these horses obviously chased him home last time. Long River and Lindo Amor in particular. I think it's such a tentative pick, but I'd probably just go for Lindo Amor just because he's got that potential. He's got some decent form in South America. He ran pretty well. He should appreciate this trip more than what he did last time when he was third and a running on third. Long River, if you could guarantee that he could put 2 good efforts together, then you'd probably fancy him. He should appreciate the trip, but you just no idea if he could run. He could finish out the back of the telly or win by 5 lengths. It's just a guessing game with him, and that what sums up the race as a really unappealing betting race and a real watching race. Furia Cruzada, I'll probably give a quick mention to. She's got some good form on dirt when she was trained in South America, and also when she's been with John Gosden. I think she was twice placed in Group 2s back in the summer. Do you think she could handle this sort of dirt? But first time out for her in Sharpie, I'm happy to leave her, to be honest. And the rest are just your usual suspects, apart from maybe Second Summer. But Wildcat Red has been a similar horse that Doug Watson's brought over from this owner, and that's run 2 Apollo races. So again, that could run dreadfully. Lindo Amor very, very tentatively, but it's not a race I'm going to look at closer at the time, but he could just be a little bit better than the rest of these.
Yeah, that's what I think it just comes down to. Just a little bit better, because we don't really know. I think Second Summer potentially could be smart. Won a Grade 2 in America. Now with Doug, obviously. I think it was like 200 days off or so, 220 days off. And always want to watch around 3, I think, Second Summer, depending on how he runs. I mean, Furia Cruzada, you've already said. But the thing is, with Furia Cruzada, if she doesn't get many picks in the competition, then I'd be happily going for her, because Antonio Frezu and Sharpie, once they've teamed up and nobody's picked their horses in the racing competition, they seem to win. So that might be an angle to look at. But I think I'm going to be faithful and go with Fitzgerald. He might not stay the trip, but that's a risk I'm willing to take. And he has looked impressive this season. Maybe he just didn't like the kickback he was getting. So he's a very tentative pick, and I think we'll move on to the penultimate race, the Jebel Ali Trophy, where we're at Meydan for a Jebel Ali race. I mean, Sheikh Hamdan has Kasusi and Munasser in here, both of whom haven't really performed this season, even though Kasusi ran 7 days ago. He should come on for his opening run. This potentially looks like one for him to take. Do you think he'll do anything here, Callum?
Don't like this race either. These two, if I recall correctly, fought out the finish the championship race at Abu Dhabi in March.
Indeed, yes.
I think
They did.
Yeah, and they've been a little bit disappointing. I think you pretty much summed it up really, Alex. I mean, Kasusi obviously ran last week and was very easy to back and proved why it was very easy to back, really. So I'll be looking elsewhere myself. I think Sanchez is rock solid. He won off £2 lower last year. He's run 2 really good races since returning. He's quite well backed the other day actually. When third to Elham over this course and distance, he led pretty much throughout after being drawn quite wide and then was just run down late on. So it suggests that he's still on a fair enough mark. I mean, I don't think he's much better than 109, being the age he is now. I think he's 7-8 year old and. He's not got that much in hand, but maybe it's a race that won't take much winning, and he could be able to do it. The dangers look to me quite a few of the British runners. I think are the ones that are ones to concentrate on. Master of the World maybe can step up on his run, but he's got a real modest strike rate. He doesn't win often. I think his last win probably 1.5, 2 years ago maybe. But he usually knocks on the door in these sort of races. Belgian Bill, maybe a little bit better over slightly shorter, but he's got form over this course and distance and ran a cracker on his return. Went third behind Fanciful Angel, up with a pretty good gallop throughout. He also won in Turkey back in September, so I'd expect him to run well, and he's probably on a decent mark. And maybe Oasis Fantasy, who's not long been with David Simcock, and there wasn't much promise in his first run for him 2 weeks ago, but he's a horse that has a lot of ability, and if they go a decent clip, then I'd expect him maybe to be involved, but that's a potential concern because I don't really see much pace either. I think for me it's between Sanchez and Belgian Bill. I think Sanchez is rock solid, well, absolutely nailed on for a place. It's just whether he's well handicapped enough to win, but there's not many others that strike has been overly well handicapped either, bar potentially Belgian Bill. And I don't think he's overly well handicapped anyway, being a 9-year-old. So I'm going to tentatively go again for Sanchez as another tentative selection, but and keep an eye on Belgian Bill definitely. But again, it's a race I'll play depending on prices.
Don't you think Sanchez might need a strong pace? Who do you think will give him that?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Really?
He's always a horse that's up with the pace. He might be making it again.
Yeah,
it'll suit him if so. I mean, he's got form over a bit shorter. He ran a good race behind Light the Lights actually in that in the Sing Spill when he was pretty up with the pace. So wouldn't worry me at all. In fact, it'll probably suit him more than most.
Fair enough. Sauter in Dubai is trying the turf for the first time. Do you think he has a chance here, Gary?
No. Simple as. I thought he was desperately disappointed the other day, and yeah, well, obviously you got the turf angle, but even still, those first 2 runs, I can't give him any sort of a chance, to be honest. I thought, again, this will depend on prices. I thought there might be a chance that Munasser actually got a soft lead here. I mean, he's tried to make all the running when he's had his 2 runs on turf out in the UAE. He finished 2nd and 6th in those, respectively. That last one coming at Abu Dhabi behind Championship, obviously took a little bit of a boost. I just thought he might get a soft lead. Again, it will depend on prices, but I thought he could potentially be overpriced and could well get the run of the race. I mean, your solid ones are obviously Sanchez and Belgian Bill there, bound to be there or thereabouts. Sanchez, as Callum points out, has ran a couple of good races already at the Carnival. He's never won off a mark this high, though, which would be a bit of a concern, I suppose. Master of the World, the strike rate does put you off. He can get behind in his race as well, which is not ideal here. Because usually I was disappointed with the other day and makes a quick reappearance. Belgian Bill, the other solid one, he's bound to run his race. But again, ultimately, I think a strongly run sort of mile would be ideal for him rather than 10, albeit he won over 10, obviously, in Turkey. And I thought Mick Shannon's order was interesting as well. Epsom Icon, obviously been very highly tried in her career, running in all the big plenty of Group 1 races. I think there's some Cherry she ran in last time out when she finished 8th. She's actually making a handicap debut off a mark of 105. Potentially, she could be well handicapped. So it'll depend on prices for me, but I might throw... again, it will depend on price, but I think they might be overpriced Epsom Icon and Munasa. So I'll throw a couple of quid at both of those.
There's prices out now with Betfair if you want to know. Just seen Epsom Icon's 12s and Munasa 12s.
So there you go. I don't mind that. I think there's a bit of juice in those prices for both those two. So I'll have a couple of quid on both of those at that price.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on Epsom Icon. She's a Group 3 winning filly, and she's off a mark of 105. So I mean, she's
never run in a handicap. So
yeah, exactly.
There's a chance she's not well handicapped, but equally there's every chance that she could be well treated. We won't know obviously until she runs, but at 12-1, I don't mind paying to find out.
Yeah, I actually know someone who's in the syndicate, and he was already asking me, like, do I know the prices for her or anything like that. So I mean, he's obviously keen to see when she runs and all that sort of thing. So potentially she could do anything. I think for me, I'm gonna have to go with Kasusi in this one. He should come on for his run 7 days ago, and if Munasa takes the lead and he's just in behind him, happy days, because they got the 1-2 draw. He should be thereabouts, I'm thinking. So an each way chance on him. Whilst I think most notably would be Oasis Fantasy off a mark of 100. Could potentially, like, it needs to improve, but should be thereabouts in a nice enough draw. So
outside of the field, Oasis Fantasy.
Take that.
Which is a bit surprising. That's not right, really. It's some strange. I've just had a quick look through the betting. It's quite.
Yeah, I'm doing the same. The Bernardine 6-4. We can
6-4.
forget that.
Yeah. Just seeing that.
Yeah, win, lose or draw. Gary wins when he takes the prices.
I always there were more 13-2 in that race. I think that's
massive, isn't it? Yeah. I think I priced him up about half that. I think.
Yeah.
Winslow's 4-1. That's not bad. Anyway, moving on. We'll go to the last race, the sprint race. The Outer Wheeler Trophy. It's over 5 furlongs. Fit Yarn is now over 5 furlongs for I think it's probably the second time this season. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't looked into it. He's fourth in the stalls, but I know Gary likes a wide draw, which Maljo has got for Shake Hamdan. Do you know which one you'll go for out of these two, Gary?
Which two? Sorry, Maljo and which one?
Fit Yarn.
To definitely be Maljar of the two. Obviously, Jim Crowley's decided to ride him. He finished behind Madisha Ban here the other day, but I didn't think he was. Certainly wasn't disgraced. Obviously, most of these have got bits of form interlinking with each other. They've all ran against each other, most of them at the Carnival thus far. I think the two most interesting ones for me, though, one is Caspian Prince, who finished third behind Ertijal on the opening night of the Carnival, beating a length and 3/4, ran on quite well in the closing stages. He's drawn towards the near side as well. I see he's priced up at 10-1. I think that's big, and the one that I think is massively overpriced, albeit he's coming here on the back of a bit of a roll, and he likes quick ground, and the way the races are, well, he could potentially try and make all himself. He's got the draw towards the near side. Magnus Maximus, who's won his last two at Chelmsford, and he won at Ascot as well, over 6 furlongs on his most recent outing off a mark of 101. Okay, he's up to 106 here, and it's probably it's definitely the toughest race that he's ran in, but conditions aren't going to be an issue. He's got a good draw. He's got plenty of early pace. I see he's 20-1. I think that's too big. So they're my two against the field: Magnus Maximus and Caspian Prince, 10-1 and 20-1 respectively. I see Sir Maximilian's priced up as favourite for this race. Pat Dobbs rides him. I think he rode him when he won the Group 3 race here on Super Saturday. He was obviously on board as well when he was second behind Medician Man last time out. Got to mention Medician Man, but he's drawn in stall 1, which is a bit of a negative for me. Likewise, a low draw for Soul Power, who's just seemed to be struggling a little bit those last couple of runs. Finished 7th behind Final Venture here on the second night of the carnival. Did run on a little bit in the closing stages, but he's clearly not the force of old. Obviously, Line of Reason is drawn quite well, actually, isn't he, in stall 12? So he's, for me, he should probably be closer to the front of the market than he was. He's second favourite, isn't he? But I think there's potential with him. But no, the current prices, Magnus Maximus at 20-1 and Caspian Prince at 10 are the two for me.
Alrighty. Yeah, just going on Sir Maximilian, I said wouldn't be surprised if placed a 1. Now at 7-2, I'm not entirely sure. I'm happy with my write-up on that. What do you think of this one, Callum? Any you like in here?
It's the most interesting race of the night by a country mile for me, personally. It's really competitive as well, and only seeing the market has only made me want to have a proper go at this race even more, because it's not priced in any way like I thought it would be. I thought Sir Maximilian Line of Reason ahead in the market. They were 2nd and 4th, I think, last time out in the race, won by Medician Man. I don't really see why they are those prices. Both of them seem to have absolutely every chance. Both are nicely drawn. Medician Man destroyed them, really. I mean, he's gone up £4, but he's got David Parks on again. You can see him going well. The draw is a big concern for him potentially in 1. So I'm happy to leave everything. Well, most of the horses that came into that race, and even Harry Hurricane as well, I thought shaped well in that race, but again had no excuses, and he's drawn in 2. So I'm looking at other races when when concerning it. Maybe Maljar, like we mentioned, I did forget he was in that race, and he shaped really nicely in it. And he's better drawn. I think he'll step up from that first run for Masaba. So him and Medician Man were probably deserving of being up there at the head of the market. I thought Caspian Prince as well, who I'm shocked he's 10-1, because he ran a screamer last time he did best of his side in the race won by Ertejal. Before then, he was in the form of his life. He completed a hat-trick, including at Dundalk, when beating Movie Star on a really fast time in October. He's absolutely thriving, and he's 10-1. I think that's absolutely huge. He's not a horse that I was going to back, because I thought he was going to be near favouritism, but I think that has to be a bet. And he's well drawn as well in 9. Another one, Polybius, I think he's too big. There's so many to consider in this race, but he shaped really nicely in a 6-furlong handicap behind Final Venture. Given a very patient ride by Jamie Spencer, finished to real good effect, and he's absolutely thrown in on his old form when with David Lanigan, and he's with a better yard now with David Simcock, in my opinion, I will say, but it's a better yard. And then, Soul Power shorter than those two as well, and he ran okay last time, but you'd want more from him. He usually goes well fresh, and he's not the same horse he was. So there's so many horses that are having different prices to what they've actually ended up being, and so I'll definitely have a good go at this race. And Maljar, Caspian Prince, and Polybius will be the 3 that will probably all end up backing, because they're all too big for me.
Get them in a TriCast. Maybe they'll get you 22,000 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, I liked Sir Max, but at 7-2, I could not be having him whatsoever. Malja, for me, possibly, but I think I'm best going to leave this one alone, because I think I've gone for too many Sheikh Hamdan and Godolphin runners as it is. I have been swayed a little bit by Caspian Prince, by Callum. I mean, you can't disagree with what he's saying. He's in stall 9, should be going well, and will be up there with the pace, or probably leading, I think. So I'm going to be leaving that one out anyway. Yeah, that probably wraps it up for Maidan. Have either of you two looked at Jebel Ali by any chance?
Thought that was shocking. Thought that was shocking as well.
Well, I've got one in there. I like Kid Malibu a lot. Still a maiden. Finished second twice with Dermot World, with Musaba Al-Mahari off a mark of 81. Interesting that Jim Crowley takes the ride. He's bred for this sort of dirt, and I think he's possibly well in here. I wouldn't be surprised if he made a mockery of his mark, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't do any because of King Cole.
Well, yes, we've got King Cole in that race who was given a how shall I put it, a
shocker,
caring ride.
Yeah, I'd say
when making his UAE debut. I know he finished third, but I think the horse probably needed the run as well, maybe a little bit. But
in time form speak, left with too much to do.
Politics.
I think he'll go close, but I'll be there enjoying the canopies and the mango juice. And the
you're out there, aren't you?
Lucky for some, isn't it? Are you going to be commentating
Something like
at
that.
Jebel Ali at all? Give us one race.
Yeah, and I'll be doing one race, and I'll be careful what I'm saying afterwards as well.
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
Lovely. I don't suppose you've looked at Abu Dhabi on Sunday at all, have you?
No. Not yet.
So maybe. But yeah, that about wraps it up. I thank you, Gary, and I thank you, Callum, for being here.
No dramas.
Pleasure.
I know
Pleasure. I'm gonna watch all the football matches simultaneously. Now.
Yeah.
That sounds
now on
lovely.
all the different screens.
Yeah, football tonight.
Football's for girls. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. Have a good one, and take it easy.